Next up is Moonlights Kaolin based foil lightener by Sunlights, and this retails for $24 for a 17.6 ounce container. Now what makes this lightener so unique is that it's the first ever clay lightener that was specifically designed to be applied in a foil highlight. Some key features and benefits of this lightener is that it's a gentle yet powerful lifting lightener. It has a blue tint to help you achieve up to that 9 levels of lift. It has a creamy consistency, smooth application, and it protects on conditions. Now, what I thought was really interesting about this clay lightener is not only does it go in a foil, which I'm really excited to test it out because I've never used it before, but on the back of the label, it did come highly recommended to pair with its 25 volume dedicated developer. Now, this does allow you to go up to 40 volume. However, it's telling you to mix it with 25 volume, so that was a little confusing. So now let's go ahead and open this up and do the sniff test. Now there are instructions on the back of this label, which are really helpful, but I had to go on actually YouTube to go find the rest of the information. So I would like a little bit more clarity, but we'll see if there's a little pamphlet inside. Now it does come with a scooper and a container with the bag, which is so nice. Now there is not little packet inside, which I'm a little bummed. Now let's go ahead and dispense this. Now, as you can see, there is a little bit of a blue tint to this. So let's go ahead and do the sniff test. Definitely has a fragrance to it. I can't say it's like super pleasant, but it's also not offensive yet. I just don't want to sniff too much because I know these are powders. But let's go ahead and see dust factor wise, like what we're dealing with. Oh, this has a lot of dust considering that it is a clay. I was just kind of expecting it to maybe not be as dusty. Not a super bad deterrent though. I mean, it is a lot, but let's go ahead and mix this up. Now this mixing ratio was a little interesting, and I'm not sure a lot of styles would actually pay attention to it, but this lightener needs to be mixed up according to volume. So instead of measuring in grams and weight, we're going to be measuring by what can actually fit inside of this scoop lightener. So we're going to take 1 level scoop of our lightener and dispense that. So we got approximately 22 grams of lightener. So now what I'm going to do is add in my cream developer, and it says to mix up by volume. So according to like what fits inside of this scooper, that's what you're going to dispense, and that's your mixing ratio. So that's what the 1-to-1 by volume means. So since we have 54 grams in total minus a 22 original grams, that leaves us with 32 grams of developer to our powder. So again, when you're going to be using a new product, you want to make sure you're actually reading the directions so we know exactly what the best mixing ratio is. Now, after you learn the rules and how it works, definitely break them if it works for you. But let's go ahead and mix this up. So overall, how it feels, it honestly doesn't feel like a traditional clay lightener. It kind of feels like a powder lightener, which is kind of interesting. It's kind of like a little sandy for sure. So let's go ahead and mix this up. Now this does recommend that you homogenize it, you fold it over with a brush or a whisk, just something that you're not going to overly mix it. You don't want to mix it aggressively, and that's pretty common in a lot of clay type lighteners. But so far this is feeling really nice. I kind of can't smell anything yet, so let's see. Kind of smells similar to what was already inside this package. So kind of like middle of the road, not really offensive. It's kind of like on the lighter of a fragrance, but it does smell like a Bleach lightener. So far this feels really creamy. I'm loving this so far. Let's go ahead and do the brush test. Now doing my first little scoop here, I'm really loving the viscosity. I like how this is staying on my brush, and I'm just so excited to try out this clay lightener that's made for foils. So let's go ahead and get this on. Sunlight claims that you can use any manufacturer's developers and it probably will work really well. However, they do recommend that you use their dedicated developer. So I like that it was kind of being honest with the fact that it's giving you the option to use other cream developers should you choose to. This also came with a strong advisory to not process with heat and to process only at room temperature. Now, so far, I feel like I can really work this lightener through really well. So saturation wise, I feel like we can get through both sides of the hair pretty easily. I think the thing that I'm most excited about this lightener is to see the swell factor with this, because usually a clay-based lightener does not swell. So I'm really excited to see that. But the other thing that was also really interesting to see if we can get a lot of levels of lift out of this is because the timing on this is the least that I've ever seen, which is to not exceed 30 minutes of processing time. So we shall see after 30 minutes if we get a lot of levels of lift with this 25 volume developer. And now we set the timer. Now that it's been 30 minutes, I am really pleasantly surprised to see we didn't get very much swelling. There is a little bit of swelling, but it's so minimal that I just can't even say that there's much swelling at all. Now, as far as the foil lightener goes, it does also feel just slightly puffy, but again, not to the point where I can say that it's going to affect my end result. So let's go ahead and take a little peek. Okay, so I can't say this looks like the lightest one that we've had. However, it did lift pretty light for 30 minutes. So this is pretty impressive for 30 minutes. Now I know it says to not exceed 30 minutes, but if you were like a rule breaker, maybe you could play around and test it by going past that. I can't say that we got a lot of lift, but again, I kind of need to wash this off so I can really see the true end results. And this actually feels pretty hydrating, so I'm excited to wash this off. Now that I have the Moonlights by Sunlights all washed out, shampooed, dried, you can see we got a pretty good result here. I would definitely say this is kind of giving me a lot of warmth. I almost see a little bit of orange kind of going on with this one, so I'm excited to size this up to the level finder. Now, considering this was a clay lightener, I did like the application of it. I liked how hydrated it felt as I was applying it, and overall I think this feels really nice. I like the integrity of this. So let's go ahead and size this up next to the level finder. So right off the bat, I'm already gearing myself to that level 7 because I am seeing quite a bit of orange tones through this, and it is kind of on the deeper side. It's not as dark as a 7, but it's definitely not close to the 8 whatsoever. So this one I'm going to give like a 7.25. I just feel like this would probably be a great lightener choice if you want to enhance warmth. I feel like a level 7 if you want like more of those coppery caramel type warm tones, this might be a really great level to lift to. But anything that is more on the cooler side, I would definitely opt away from this type of lift. Now overall, compared to the level 2 swatch, I think we got a pretty decent lift going from a 2 to a 7, although this did claim up to 9 levels of lift. But for a clay-based lightener, I'm actually kind of impressed. Now there was a downside to this lightener, and that was its versatility. I felt as though this is only to be used as a foil lightening service. So as far as doing on-scalp application or even open air balayage, you are kind of limited. Now on the positive side, we didn't see much swelling with this one, so for that reason I really liked it. So this would be something that I'm kind of interested in playing with, but maybe on lighter levels of hair. However, if you are working on really dark hair like I do in the salon, this would probably be one I would skip unless I'm working on levels 5 and above. If you like this video and want to watch another one, click here. And if you want to watch the full video, click here. And for more education, head on over to morellamanelli.com or hairbnbuniversity.com.